Welcome back to Squawk Box. Warner Brothers Discovery is no longer pursuing a merger with Paramount Global after several months of talks. This, according to people familiar with the matter, that it spoke to CNBC. Joining us right now is Puck's Matt Belloni. Good morning to you, Matt. I'm sure some of those same sources might have talked to you. Was your sense that this was really in the offing to begin with?
No. I mean, I think both of these companies are exploring whatever there is to explore at this point, looking and talking to whoever there is to talk to. But the sense that was there was not some, big rush to do a deal between these companies. It was exploring. It was talking. It was what might this look like if we were to do something. And frankly, it was surprising to me that sources would say that it's off, just because it was never really on to begin with.
I'm with you. So let me ask you this then. Let's just talk about Let's talk about the chessboard. And I don't know which of the pieces you think on the chessboard right now are the most interesting. But if you were to play out the chessboard over the next 12 months, how do you see the possible permutations?
I think the most likely, and I know I'm in the minority on this, is I think Paramount goes to David Ellison, Skydance, and the Redbird Group. They are the only ones that are serious about this. They are in the middle of diligence. It's Larry Ellison's son and his company. They have Redbird Capital behind them and Tencent, a couple of others. I think Paramount would be smart to do a deal with them. This is someone who wants to keep the studio, wants to sell off other stuff, and is willing to pay a premium. The Byron Allen bid may be there, maybe not. We don't know what that is. And I think that Warner's has to either look to Comcast and see if Brian Roberts is willing to do a deal with them, or I think they just try to chug it out and hope that this ad market gets better and that their numbers turn around and some of this free cash flow actually enables them to eventually invest in the company, which is what the street seems to desperately want out of Warner's. They want a narrative. They want to hear, how are you going to grow?
Can you just walk through, to the extent that people have sort of, and I don't know how much you think it's real or not, parent company in this network, Comcast, some kind of commercial joint venture of sorts with Paramount and Peacock, how that would work?
Well, the way I've heard it described is that, and this has been reported in the media, the Journal wrote about this, is that there could be some sort of commercial combination of the Paramount Plus and Peacock streaming services, not an acquisition or merger of the companies as a whole, but some sort of a team up, essentially, to get a little bit more scale in the streaming wars, because Peacock and Paramount Plus are the two sort of subscale, not late entrants to these streaming wars, and they haven't been doing great. They've been doing better, Peacock especially, with the wild card football game last quarter. But this would be, either a combination of the two units. It would be a commercial partnership, all the way down to it could just be a bundle. They may just do a deal where they bundle them together, split the revenue in some way, and that's what this ends up being. But it could be something more, where there is a combination of the units or some kind of a coming together of those two units to better compete in streaming, which is the big problem with all these companies.
Matt, final question. Warner Brothers Discovery. There's always been a question 2 years, and we're coming on the 2 years post-sale, or I should say post-spinoff rather, of that business from AT&T. It was impossible to sell that company given the tax implications at the time. But once you get past the calendar, because of the way the rules work, you can actually sell the business without the same kind of tax problems. Do you see that company getting bought, or do you see David Zaslav as a buyer long term?
I think right now they're hoping for anything. I mean, they're open about searching for deals. I mean, they said that essentially on the earnings call. Zaslav said that they are looking for potential partnerships or deal making. The stock is so low right now that a pure acquisition by another company, I mean, that would just be a disaster from where this company went public at 2 years ago. But at some point they may not have a choice if the economics continue to decline. I think that there will be some kind of a deal, whether it's falling into the arms of Comcast, which seems very happy to just sit back and wait for Warner's to have more problems, or whether it's going out. I don't see them being able to be purely acquisitive. Like, they're not going to go after a big company. I don't think they can. They have too much debt still, and the financials of the stock are just not there. So they've got to find a deal. But to be honest, I don't know what the best path is for them.